This is the Kaisa deck that I brought to Houston and bubbled out, but I think there's a lot of really good theory. I think there's a lot of really good value, and I think there's a lot of really good communication that is lost amongst all the Kaisa players. So let's just go through my list and see what I played and talk about why I played those cards. First, let's start off with the battlefields. Let's start with the first one. Dreaming Tree is often what we play blind going first. I expected a lot of the mirror, so if I soul read them, which means I guessed they were gonna Dreaming Tree first, like most Kaisas would, I would instead play Targon's Peak first. And so we would always have a Dreaming Tree to play with, which is theirs, and then a Targon's Peak for mine. It actually was pretty okay for a couple matchups and seemed valuable. Dreaming Tree is great for going first. Dreaming Tree is great for going second. Dreaming Tree is great for drawing cards, and it's a Kaisa deck, so all you do is draw cards. And that's what I love to do. Vilmaz was a good second option. It was great going into Annie. It was great in the mirror because it forces them to put a unit up there and they can't recall them. Actually, they can recall them. They can't flash them back. They can't ride the wind. They can't move out. So it traps the unit there, and then all you have to do is shoot at it with a spell and you can clear it. Vilmaz was also pretty cool in a couple matchups, but not great in the set, because the set ability is a recall, which moves the unit for free, and it doesn't count as a move when Set does his Zhonya's thing. Zhonya's trigger is not a move, so there's that. The last one is Targon's Peak. Often I would just play Targon's Peak. It's less good into the mirror because it gives them options and playable spells when they conquer. Fine into Annie because they just already were upping 2 or readying 2 at the end of turn, so now they ready 4. They don't play a lot of big things, so them being able to cast 2 things over 1 was not that big of a deal. Their option often is their own Dreaming Tree or Zon Warrens or anything that seemed more valuable than just getting what their legend ability already does. So it was a nice middle ground. Let's start with the deck. I played 1 Kaisa. I played 1 singular Kaisa. Annie plays 3. It's really ironic that Kaisa decks play less than 1. Or less than 2. You can play 2 if you really like the conquer point, but I don't think you need to play more than 1. It's a good fill if you have another card, but also this card is $95. It's just not worth paying to play more than 1 when you don't need her. She's great on curve. She does the job. The rest of your deck is a lot better than just Kaisa. Technically, the leader ability or the legend ability, I keep calling her a leader because I'm One Piece, but the legend ability of Kaisa is way more impactful than just the unit. The unit conquers, it gets you a draw 1, which we love to do. You can accelerate her for that extra point. You can use her on curve plays where you need a 4-drop and you drop her on turn 2, but outside of that, you're really not using and abusing her. Daughter of the Void, the actual legend, is very useful. You can pay deflect costs with it. You can pay for all your spells with it because she pays for anything on reaction. Often you're mulliganing for a Hextech Ray or something more valuable, and you're using her to tap and pay the cost so you can cast a spell. Honestly, it's like my favorite legend, and mostly just because it's blue-red and I play blue-red in Magic. I played 7 reds and I played 5 blues because the deck required more reds than blues. You don't need to see a lot of blues. The only time you need to see a lot of blues is for Time Warp and Sprite Mother and Smokescreen and Thousand-Tailed Watcher. But the reds are more impactful because they're all your spells. They're for Darius, they're for Kaisa, they're for Kaisa's Accelerate. You just need them. They're for Falling Stars, they're for Icathian Rain. You just need more reds than you see blues. At one of my games, I think I had opened all 7 of my reds and hadn't seen a blue, but it didn't matter. And we kind of laughed about it because it really didn't matter. Okay, let's get into the rest of the deck. We played 3 Ravenbloom, a great 2-drop. We're going to combine all the 2-drops together because it's a relevant thing for probability. I played 3 Watchful Sentry, draw 1. It's a card that replaced itself. Ravenbloom was good when you needed to climb sometimes. Good unit, that's a 2-2. This is a 2-1 that replaces itself on a draw. It's very valuable, very useful. The final 2 drops I played were one Rearguard and 1 Poro. One of my mirrors that I actually lost to played 3 Rearguard. I think Rearguard, because it's a 2-2, is very valuable. I think because it can accelerate, it's very valuable in an Annie and Kaisa focused meta. Pouty Poro I just don't like. I think good players play around deflect. I think having a bunch of these is fine. You can replace Rearguard with this, but sometimes you really need that extra point, or you need to get that point faster than Annie does, and I think it's way more useful to have a rear guard than it is a Poro. You play 8 2-drops because you want to open at least one of them. The probability of opening one of these when you play 8 is higher. The probability of you opening one of these when you have 9 is way higher. Opening and flooding, if you played 9, is way higher. And then when I was testing and I was playing 7 back when this list was like mostly just the Poro, no rear guard, I didn't feel as great because sometimes you just like mulled and you still didn't hit units. At least now I can mull 2 and draw for turn and still hit the 2-drop, which is still really good. But right now this is like the lineup that I love and adore, and I probably wouldn't change. Likely I'd probably change Sentry for the Poro that generates a treasure in set 2. But I have to do a lot of testing and see if that's actually more valuable than just a draw. Speaking of drawing cards, we played 2 Lecturing Yordle. This was at 3 before. I don't like that he's a 3-drop. I don't find myself going second very often, and even when I do go second, I'd rather have a 2-drop and a Hextech Ray or a spell that I can play on their turn instead of playing this and having no mana up for my turn. The only useful thing about Lecturing Yordle, which is why you saw it sided in the top 8 list, is that it has tank, so when it swings in with Kaisa or another unit, it has to be dealt lethal damage first, which means they can't crash into your more valuable unit. So it kind of acts like a chump blocker in a sense if you play Magic. Otherwise, the play 1 and draw 1 is great. I play it at 2 because it's the perfect side out. My entire side is 2s, so I just side out Lecturing Yordle for the correct card for the matchup, and it made my siding patterns like infinitely easier, honestly. It was great. It's great blind going first or second, because if you do see it, you play it, you get a draw. So what? You can't Hextech Ray their unit, but like 9 times out of 10, I'd rather have a 2-drop than a 3-drop. Speaking of a 2-drop, Noxus Hopeful. We played 3 of these Noxus Hopefuls. Okay, this card, this card is busted. You don't play this deck without this card. The fact that it's Legion and it costs 2 less means it becomes a 2-drop, so you can play it with Darius. You can trigger Darius effect. It's a 4-might unit that essentially like covers itself. It's worth as much as Kaisa without being worth as much as Kaisa. It's actually insane. It's great for defending. It's great for holding. When you play a unit or play something like a spell and then conquer, you can play it directly to the battlefield, and so it can hold down that battlefield with your other units even when it's exhausted at 4 might, and that's just nuts on a card. I played 3 Darius. Obviously you should play 3 Darius. There's not a lot to be said, but Darius is full of combat tricks and neat plays. Annie gets to use and abuse Darius as much as possible. Kaisa should as well. The fact that you can play it as the second card your turn, ready it, and then give it +2 is nuts. I think the fact that with Darius ready +2 with a cleave, so like play Darius, play a cleave, it readies Darius and gives him +5, which is when he's attacking. It gives him +5 when he's attacking, and so realistically, like, you get the option to swing in over another Watcher, you get to swing in over big units. I mean, he's a 10 at that point, right? So, like, do whatever you want. Some neat things I learned were playing Darius exhausted first, readying him on the next turn, moving him into a battlefield, playing 2 things to ready him again, and then recall him out of the battlefield so he's a little safer in your base. Something that didn't come up often for me, and I think that's a play difference. I should have done that a lot more, and I think there were 2 times that I misplayed using my Darius effectively that, like, probably cost me my games or my matches, so I just have to practice doing that more and considering more tricks in how to use Darius. I played 3 Watcher. This is obvious. Do not cut Watcher down to 2. This is like one of the best cards in your deck. You cannot play less than 3 of this card. Yes, it sucks seeing it, but you can just mulligan it. You'll see it again because you'll draw enough cards. Do mulligan it if you open it and you don't have a proper curve or you want to play other things. Definitely don't cut this down to 3 or 2. You could maybe take it out in the Annie matchup because I didn't see its -3 being valuable, and it was just like a big cost card. I can tell sometimes it's a big cost card, but it is such a tempo swing, especially when you play it for free. It's a 7, it minuses everything by 3. That doesn't target, it doesn't pay deflect when it does that, so it's just a great card. And Kaisa needs accelerate cards to go fast, so Sonic go fast. Here are the spells. So I played 2 Retreat. The contention is maybe playing 3 of these. Maybe I play 3 of these. Maybe I just cut the Yordles entirely and play 3 of these and fill for something else. Maybe another Void. But I liked it at 2. I like the tricks. I like the channeling. I like getting more runes, more value, saving my cards when the combat damage is way too much. It's like Flash, but a little better. It's a good card. 3 Stupefy. When you're playing Dreaming Tree and your unit's gonna die because they're swinging in, you just Stupefy your own unit and draw 2. It's nuts. Like, it's actually crazy. Giving a unit -1 is like a very not very relevant thing. Like, you're maybe protecting your 2-drop if you play this pretty early, or if you're playing it early and you have a Raven Bloom and you're bumping the Raven Bloom up by 1 and minusing their thing by 1, then like you get into the like really niche, like fine line usage. But Stupefy is just great because you draw a card, and like you can draw a card on reaction and then play the card that you used or that you drew, which is next level. 3 cleave. Unless you're attacking, you don't actually get the plus. Even if you're attacking, even if you're swinging in or having a showdown on an empty battlefield, you're not actually attacking if there's nothing defending. So all you're really doing is playing cleave on tree to draw. Even when your unit's dying because you're defending, it's fine. Draw a card. It's a 1-drop. It replaces itself. It's not that crazy. I mean, it is a +3 for big units, but like if you see Master Yi or set, like you're gonna cleave into them. Realistically, it's better than targeting them because they probably have deflect. My favorite card in the deck. Like, there are better cards in the deck than this, but like my favorite card is Hextech Ray because it just feels so satisfying watching the opponent's face. And like, this is gonna sound dumb, but like playing a 2-drop, leaving up 1, going second into Hextech Ray, I just turn my Kaisa and they know it's a Hextech Ray coming out and killing their unit. Sneaky Deckhand, dead. Traveling Merchant, dead. Yeah, you'll pay the extra deflect on a Pouty Poro, man. If you just want to get them off that point and like make sure they can't get it. Preventing points is like fundamental to the tempo game that Kaisa plays. So if you can prevent them from getting points, it's almost infinitely better than scoring points yourself, because you will score points as you play. That's almost a guarantee. The difference is like having them not be on point and not contesting that battlefield is 9 times better than just letting them have it. So I sometimes, even for the Annie game, you hard mull too just to see this card. Like, you should not open a hand without a 2-drop or this card in your hand. Going into Houston, I wasn't playing Voidseeker because I just wasn't playing a lot of Kaisa in Toronto. There weren't a lot of Kaisas in my locals or skirmishes or anything. I was like the only Kaisa player in most of them. That's probably gonna sound pretentious or whatever, but like realistically it wasn't an option. I didn't see the value in Voidseeker, but going to Houston against Annie and against other Kaisa players, this was good in the main and not good in the side. I didn't want to side it in for the matchups because the expectation, like, I played 9 rounds including the pre-RQ. That would be like another 5 rounds, and I played against 2 Annies and 3 Kaisas on the first day, and then I played against 5 Kaisas, 2 Annies, and a Darius on the Houston day. Like, that's nuts. This card is nuts. It clears everything. It draws you a card. What more can you ask for when it comes to this card? I'd bump this up to maybe 3 if the match, if the current meta stays the way it is and it's mostly Annie Kaisa. Like, I'd probably bump this to 3 and retreat to 3 and just cut the Yordle. The second best card in the deck, Falling Star. People know what's happening every time you play it. People know exactly what to remove from the board every time you play it. Falling Star is a nuts card. The fact that Kaisa can pay for 1 and it still only costs 1 more, and it's the 2 that you exhaust to pay for it, like, nuts. It hits twice. It has reflexive triggers just like the next card I'm about to show you, but it clears a Darius. You can even use a single use of this on a Kaisa, or like a set with a buff, or a Master Yi, or a Tasty, or like anything. It's nuts. You use this card to clear their base also, because you can hit base with Falling Star. You can't hit base with Voidseeker, and you can't hit base with Hextech Ray. So when they're stacking up units or preparing to do something crazy, you just Falling Star them over and over again, and again, keep them off of tempo. I played 2 Rain in main. This is something that's probably contentious with the 2-time warp in main. With George and like other people's takes, that I agree that I just don't like playing 1 of a card. I come from Yu-Gi-Oh background. I come from the probability of never seeing that card. We can't search in this game, so the only thing we can do is dig, discard, or draw. If you don't play more than 2 of something, or if you don't play more than 1 of something, you're probably never going to see it, unless you somehow have a tool to get you there very often. And so this deck draws a lot, but into the mirror, Rain is great because you clear their base, you clear their back row, you clear anything you want with Rain. It comes out in orange decks because, God, Unyielding Spirit is like the most busted, annoying piece of shit ass card that they ever designed. I don't know why this card costs me 7 plus 3 power, but Unyielding Spirit is like 1 in 1 or something, or 2 in 1, or 2 in nothing. Like, what is that? Why is that a counter? Like, it's basically a counter spell. This, just like Falling Star, has reflexive triggers. This is something to pay attention to because you can eat up a lot of deflects in this, so you have to target correctly. The good thing is, into Victor, into Darius, into even a Draven that's huge, any big body units, you just clear them. It's 12 damage, you're going to deal 12, and you want to see it. Into Annie, it's great because you put them behind on tempo. All the units they were preparing to move up or move back and forth. I remember clearing like a full Annie board, a full like 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and like maybe 2 more on the Annie just to get rid of her. And like, that was game ending for that Annie player. Next is Time Warp. Like, I felt bad saying Hextech Ray was the best card in the deck because Time Warp, I Time Warped 10 times. I won games Time Warping 10 times in Houston. Time Warp, I just played a locals and I won a game by Time Warping. You can Time Warp just to draw if you want to. Like, it is insane. What a good card. It never happened, but it did happen recently at locals, which is kind of the cheat to this video, is that I did Time Warp and they win-walled me, which was the counter spell. It's never happened up until now. It didn't happen in Houston, but people do not like this card. It's a broken card. Taking an extra turn should not be in the game so early, but it costs a lot. It's hard to get to. Time Warp is insane. Just move a unit up, get a point, Time Warp, get another holding point, start your turn again. Like, what more could you ask for? What a great card. And a great art. Great, beautiful card. That's the main deck. That's pretty much everything else. Let's get into the simple side. It's a very simple side. I played 2 Thermo because Aurora was getting more prevalent. If you can't get ahead on Aurora decks, you just lose. It's in the side, so you can side it in for the Yordles. You dig and you draw for it, and you hope to have it in time for them to drop Dazzling Aurora. And Dazzling Aurora is a problem for Kai'Sa decks. She's just too lean and too small to get over it, so you need your thermal beams. I would have played more of this. I would have cut a Yordle and maybe just played like 1 more retreat and 1 smoke in main. Maybe cut the Yordles and play 2 smoke in main. Smokescreen is a busted card, as we saw in the feature matches. It's the only way to get big things down smaller. It's the only way to stop Vi from super climbing, especially when they overcompensate by giving Vi more of a pump. You can -4 them on reaction, -4 again, -4 again. Even if you have to spend all your mana to do it, it's the best option that you have when it comes to big monsters. So those go into like most of the orange matchups. Even if you have to pay deflect, it's fine. Like, it's okay. It's more beneficial to you than that. It even goes into the mirror because of Watcher and Darius, and like, it's just like fun combat tricks to have in the deck that are better than just like zapping a card. Sprite Mother, insane. People don't like this card. I don't know why they don't like this card. It's fast. It gives you a readied Sprite on turn 2 that conquers a point for free. This goes in against every Annie or even the mirror because you can get ahead on tempo. You can get points faster than them. In a Vile Mod game, you just send your sprites over there. They have temporary. You get a point. You're out of there. You can play on Conquer instead of play on Holding. With these, and then it also gives you a unit that you can play next turn or you can use for combat swinging, like Cleave. I at one point retreated my Sprite Mother and played another, and I had to borrow a Sprite token from somebody else. That's how busted Sprite Mother is. I had too many tokens on the board, no Kai'Sa units, just Sprite Mothers, Sprite Mommy, holding it down. Last and least, Bryn Thundersong. I thought it was a cool tech for the event. I tested a bunch, I played a bunch of orange going into it. I didn't see any orange on the day of or in the pre-RQ. It wasn't relevant. I never sided it in. It cost too much, even in my testing games, to put it in and like be playable. If this card was either less mighty, even if it was a 2-drop that just says when you play me, opponents can't play cards this turn, I think it'd be too busted if it was a 2-drop that did that. But like, I don't even give a fuck about its might. Like, honestly, if this card was maybe even 4 or 5, something really awkward that like required me to play, because like, you want to play this, play something else. You're never playing something that's worth 6 on the same turn that you play this. And if you do want to play this, you can't play this like with Darius plus other things. That's all 12 of your runes that you're spending just to play this and Darius. And then Darius comes in +2 and ready, and you hope they can't do anything about it. Like, that's the only time that would come up. And I'd rather have a Smokescreen or a Sprite Mother or a Ray or a Void Seeker or like anything else. So realistically, this came out, and I'd probably cut it right now because of the resurgence of things that performed. Would be another Thermal Beam for more dazzling and another Smokescreen. Honestly, I'd keep the deck the exact same for now and keep testing, but that's what I would take these 2 side out cards for. Or maybe a Void Seeker, honestly. Maybe the 3rd Void Seeker could go in and replace that. And that's the deck. Things that we talked about in Discord, things that we talked about in person, things that are relevant. A lot of decks play 1 and 1 because they just don't believe 1 Rain and 1 Time Warp because they can side in more of something in the right matchup. I just have yet to break in a way that seems viable. The things that I'm breaking on are like no playable monsters, or only spells, no monsters, not playing carefully around, only having 1 unit, being a little too greedy and accelerating Kai'Sa when you 9 times out of 10 you probably shouldn't. You probably should not accelerate Kai'Sa if you don't need to. You can play her on curve if you have backup. But like Darius and Falling Star are like the best cards in your deck outside of the ones that I've mentioned, because they play more functionally into the entire meta, and those are the most problematic cards that people don't like. So I would stick to maintaining those. If I had to change anything, I noticed the top 8 list playing Candlelit. I might try playing Candlelit Sanctum over Targon's Peak just to test sifting through the deck a bit more and like being a little bit more choosy on like what I'm sculpting, because Kai'Sa doesn't have a stack deck. It doesn't have a way to play around your draws. You just have to raw draw everything and hope that like the shuffle was good enough, and sometimes it's not that good. But yeah, that was my deck for Houston and what I'll probably be playing going forward. Shouts out to everybody. Shouts out to Brian. Shouts out to my sponsor, Cardboard Cravings. Shouts out to Abdul and everyone that watches the channel. Shouts out to Sean and all the rest of the guys that I met in Houston and played with in Houston and tested with and coached and spat advice to, because realistically, like, I think I'm good at the game and I think I enjoy the game. So now it's just about mixing those 2 pieces together and making good content that we can all enjoy and learn from together. If you guys have any more questions, let me know in the comments below. Outside of this, thanks for watching.